I don't know about you, but whenever I hear about a new player, my first thought is usually, who are the guys that he compares to? Because, it's just what we do. People like to compare things. And that's the topic of today's video. I'm looking at 3 soon-to-be lottery picks from the 2020 NBA Draft. I'm going to break down their games, and then I'm giving you 3 realistic comparisons for each player who share similar physical traits and skill sets. How's it going, guys? My name is Troy. This is the Half Court Report YouTube channel, and I am starting a new series today where I take a few of this year's draft prospects, break down their games, and then give you some comparisons to the type of NBA player they can be. So if you like these types of videos, you gotta let me know in the comments, and you gotta tell me what players you want to see covered in future videos. Also, you got to hit that like button too. The likes on my last few videos have been unreal, so thank you so much, everybody, for your support. We're going for 500 likes on this video, and if we get to that number, that's going to ensure I do another NBA draft comparison video next week. I'm also working on Mock Draft 5.0. This mock draft is going to be awesome. I'm going to cover all 60 picks, first and second round. Make sure you're subscribed. Be on the lookout for that. I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers by the end of 2020. Would love your help with that. Please and thank you, and let's get into today's video. First guy I'm going to talk about is James Wiseman of the University of Memphis. He's 7'1", about 250 pounds. The stats that you're looking at on the screen right now are a little misleading because he only played 3 games for Memphis due to an NCAA suspension, and then he withdrew from school to train for the draft. 2 of those games were against pretty weak competition, and the other was against a fairly decent team, and that was actually Wiseman's worst game. So lots of questions still remain about him and how his play would translate against better competition. But he has the talent, he has the athletic ability, and he has that potential that is going to make him a high pick on draft night. He also possesses outstanding leaping ability, long strides, he's an explosive player, makes him a great weapon in transition and in the offensive pick and roll. His size enables him to be a killer on the defensive and offensive glass. And then also on defense, his length and ability to disrupt plays makes him an elite rim protector. Big issues for Wiseman, though, lack of playmaking ability and a lack of awareness on the floor because he's not very savvy at creating shots for his teammates. He possesses a bad habit of getting double teamed and then forcing a shot instead of trying to find the open man, trying to reset the offense. His defensive footwork is also not the best either. So who does James Wiseman compare to? I like this Hassan Whiteside comp that I've seen a few people float around. They're both similar in height, weight, and wingspan. Both are strictly centers who anchor the paint and don't spend any time at the power forward spot. And like Whiteside, Wiseman has amazing potential as a shot blocker and rebounder. Each guy takes up space around the basket. They can score on a lot of offensive boards and lobs. Neither guy is going to be confused with Nikola Jokic, though, because Whiteside is a non-passer. And for Wiseman, during his 3 games at Memphis, he only had 1 assist. Yeah, 1 assist. I also see some DeAndre Jordan in Wiseman's game, but with a higher offense and lower defense. Again, great at finishing near the rim and at blocking shots. Wiseman's strength looks to be as a rim runner right now. Finally, could Wiseman be a center version of Chris Bosh? He's on record comparing himself to Bosh. His mid-range jumper looks eerily similar to Chris Bosh, although he's not a great shooter statistically. Maybe offensive productivity could reach Bosh's level. Because you got to remember, Bosh was a player who had a reputation as a poor defender before really stepping up that part of his game when he joined the Heat. So maybe Wiseman would follow that same path. Next player I'm going to talk about is Deni Avdija, 6'9", 215 pounds, Israeli player from Maccabi Tel Aviv. So he is considered to be the top international prospect this year, and I think the greatest player to ever come out of Israel. He just became the youngest Israeli League MVP. His team won the championship. He's got a list of accolades as long as my arm, And guys, I got a long arm over here. 19 years old, and he has so much potential. You can play him at the 3 spot, you can play him at the 4 spot. His stats didn't really jump off the page last year, but he was playing against grown men, so much better competition than other guys saw in the NCAA. He has that pressure and in-game experience that NBA teams want. He's got really good defensive potential, good instincts there. He's not the most athletic player, but he has an awesome basketball IQ, and that helps make up for it. He's also a really nice point forward type of player, very unselfish, could easily end up being a secondary ball handler and helping to run an NBA offense. He does need to tighten up his handle a little bit though. All that would come in handy for a team that has more of a scorer than a facilitator or playmaker at the guard spots. Deni's big issue though, and I think the main thing that's keeping him from being the consensus #1 pick, is his shooting. He got better in that area as the season went on, but that's going to be a big question mark for whatever team does decide to draft him. So who does Deni Avdija compare to? One name I've been hearing a lot is Dario Saric. They're both international players who are about the same size. They can both pass the ball. Dario is Deni's floor to me. I don't think he can be any worse than Saric. Another name I want to throw out there is Justice Winslow. Both point forward type of players with a questionable shot. They're going to really hustle and get after the ball though. Finally, if Deni keeps working at his game, and he will, how about the Israeli Gordan Hayward? Both players can defend, their athleticism is about the same, they can stretch the floor a little bit. If I'm Deni, then Hayward is the player I want to try and emulate. And how about Obi Toppin, aka Obtop, aka Obi-Wan Top Nobi, 6'9", 220 pounds, sophomore from the University of Dayton. He saw huge improvements this year, 20 points, 7.5 rebounds, over a block a game. He won both the Wooden and Naismith awards. Toppin does most of his damage in the paint, where he's a beast in the post and consistent finisher around the rim. He's a brute in transition, showing solid foot speed and top-notch athleticism for his size. He's also not afraid to throw down a thunderous dunk in his attacks. What separates him from other bigs in this class, though, is his shooting. He drilled about 39% of his three-point attempts this year. He's got a fluid release. He's going to be a threat as a pick-and-pop player at the NBA level. He seems to have one of the higher floors of the top prospects. Maybe not a superstar, but I see him as a starter for many years to come. The biggest downside to Obtop is his defensive game, and that's ultimately why some teams will steer clear of him come draft day. Toppin can block shots and grab rebounds no problem, but appears to lack an overall side-to-side quickness to stay with players on the perimeter. You hear commentators sometimes talk about a player's lateral quickness. Toppin doesn't have that. So who does Obi Toppin compare to? One name I like is John Collins of the Atlanta Hawks. Collins is an athlete who can stretch the floor a little bit, but he's not going to be winning any Defensive Player of the Year awards anytime soon. And let me throw out the name Drew Gooden. Like Obi, Gooden had a great college career. He was drafted high. He played mostly as a journeyman in the NBA throughout his 14-year career. He was a good inside presence. Toppin has a better outside shot, but both guys, strong rebounders and poor defenders. Then the ultimate ceiling for Obi would be Amare Stoudemire. He's another freak athlete who dunked everything in sight. He got after it on the boards, but wasn't always as focused as he could be on defense. Guys, that's what I think, but let me know in the comments who you think these guys compare to, and let me know what players you want me to cover in a future comparison video. If we get this video to 500 likes, I'm going to drop that video as early as next week. So if you enjoy this type of content, be sure and subscribe to the channel. Help me get to 10K subs. Thanks so much for watching. This is Troy with the Half Court Report, and I'll see you next time.